kind of water you're giving these animals determines a lot the worms that are going to be a problem on your farm. So if these animals are drinking more of tapped water, piped water, you're going to find that you have majorly roundworms, some lungworms, and some other simple worms like fin, thread, and so on. But if your animals go to the valleys, go to the swamps, and they get water from those places, then you have a greater challenge of what we call liver flukes. And how are we going to tell that liver flukes are a problem to your animals? One, of course, if they are producing animals, production falls. Two, you're going to find that there will be a lot of emaciation, loss of body condition. Okay? And three, you're going to find that some of them may even have some bit of prolonged diarrhea, which keeps coming, which is chronic. It keeps coming on and off. Then lastly, you're going to find there's a swelling which comes here in the submandibular region, what you call the bottle jaw. Okay, so if that comes, then that means that the worm load or the worm burden in these animals is way high, and you have to come in real quick. So if you have these other worms, you may not experience a lot of those as much as your program of deworming is rigid and routine. Now in goats, we deworm them every after 60 days, which are 2 months. So we keep alternating. If this time we've used oral, the next time we use injectable. Why? So that the system in these animals does not develop what you call a resistance, both the drugs and also the parasites that are supposed to be a problem to you. Are we together? So if I'm to look at this, the manufacturer of this will tell you that the normal doses, for example in sheep, it's 1 mil for a goat which has 10 to 20 kilograms. Are we together? Now, if this goat has 10 to 20 kilograms, I'm supposed to give it 1 mil. For example, 1 mil would be like that. You see that? Now I think I need to get a smaller syringe than this. David, now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I want to tell you here. We have two things. We have the ideal condition and we have the practice. You get that? Now, in the ideal, this is what is in most cases recommended. Why? Because the manufacturer of the drug, his environment, his management are totally different from that of ours. Okay, so you're going to find that things are going to keep changing from one place to another. So I was saying 1 mil is this. You see that? So the manufacturer here tells you that this is what you're going to give a goat of 10 to 20 kilograms. Do you see that? Now, would you buy that or you wouldn't? Or would it be enough or it wouldn't? It is not enough. Because it can't even be enough for the head alone. Are we together? Or what I'm trying to say, if I put in this animal's mouth, it's going to stop in the throat. It's just a mere test. You get that? So that's why we try to see that we give the doses basing on the physical animal itself. If I had an animal here, you would look at this animal and then you could do. Now that's where the estimation comes in for a practical person then. Because when you base more on this, you're going to find that if you give it more, this one will claim you're causing more harm. But for you physically, you're going to see that you have the idea not done any work. Are we together? You get what I'm saying? Because some of the contraindications are, one, some dewormers are not supposed to be given within the first 3 weeks of pregnancy. Now that's what we call the first trimester. Okay? Whereby trimester means 3 months, but they are saying 3 weeks. Because here, at that stage, you still have what you call implantation taking place. And if it is disorganized by the drug, then the fetus is going to fail to implant and what you call embryonic deaths will come in. Then other drugs will tell you, do not administer in the 3rd trimester, that is in the last 3 months. Because here, you're going to get what we call malformation of the fetus that is growing. Like some young ones may be born blind, others are born without hooves, others are born without teeth. So many things keep coming because of the effect of the drug. So those we can really respect, but we need to know that these animals need something that is appropriate and enough for their weights. So what we do, we look at, for example, if I have a goat of 10 to 20 kilograms, I would preferably give it around 10 to 15 meals. You get my point? Why? Such that now there are two, that if I give this animal an oral drug and maybe by bad chance the dose happens to go beyond, okay? What does that mean? Being an oral drug, it is running through the GIT system and will settle into the stomach. So any surplus of this will be eliminated within 24 hours. Are we together? That means that there we have what we call relatively a wider margin of safety, that the levels of toxicity may not necessarily come in as they would come when you are doing the systemic, the injectable, because the injectable goes right into other systems, including the respiratory, the circulatory, and so on and so forth, and you're going to have the goats disturbed, and once they come out, like on the pastures in the hot sunshine, some of them will start, showing some signs of restlessness, frequent urination, frothing around, hypersalivation, which are indicators of toxicities in some cases. Okay? Question? Systems, okay? Way into the mammary gland, into the milk, into the meat, into whatever. Because people have a reasoning that if the kids can suffer when I've dewormed the mother animal, why not me eat or drink the milk, So you can't take yourself for that kid. These are two different species of animals. So I want us to look at how we're going to get this done. I don't know, I have some containers around, but condition number 2 or 3 is make sure that these animals do not have to access water for drinking within the first 3 hours of deworming. Why is that so? Such that we not disturb the concentration of the drug, okay, in the system. That's why in most cases, even they will tell you that if possible, deworm yourself in the morning. Do you know why? Such that instead of you, as you're coming to have anything to eat, the worms are very expectant. So what goes in first? Its mode of action is ideally you're supposed to deplete them of the energy levels and then weaken them, and then they are killed off. So they come anxious to eat. So they're going to find that what is coming in, as much as they take it for food or feed, it is actually toxic to them. And then you have them hit. That's why I'm saying that don't give them water which is going to dilute the concentration of the drug for some hours and give the drug a chance to do what? To effect. Are we okay with that? Asking any question? Using syringe, okay? Like this one. This has a capacity of 60 mils. Then if you're dealing with so many animals, I could have what you call an automatic drenching gun, which is supposed to be sucking from a container which has the dewormer, and you keep pressing. So as it keeps coming back, it is sucking more drug. So you can control it by locking down here, such that if I want only 20 mils, I lock it from here, and it will not go beyond the 20, okay? So if I want it to go beyond, I can then, you see that? So you keep adjusting according one, size of the animal and the volume of the drug you're going to do what? You're going to give. What is the dose? What is the route of administration that you're using, okay? For pigs, like I said, it's more of an oral, actually more of an injectable, because restraining pigs is a little tricky if you don't have what you call a pig snare. But for these other animals, we can use oral, we can use injectable, depending on what is available and affordable to us. Are we okay?
Yes.
Now, as we get this going, one of the things, can you put for me here? One of the things we need to look at is, when you look at this goat, I know it's getting a little nervous, but when you look at these animals, including the cows and the goats, when you open up their mouth, you're going to find that they have teeth on the what? on the lower jaw. Are we okay? I think we talked about that with Dr. Sadat about age estimation. Now, can you pass me that small? Okay, whichever I can do. Now, if I have my drug here, and I'm going to give this goat, I'm not supposed to pass it here straight, okay? Because they can actually bite. Now, if it bites this part and it breaks, it might take it in. That is now you're going to cause this animal to have a foreign body, okay? But when you look at the arrangement of the jaw, in the sides here we have what you call a diastema, which is a space. Now it's this space that allows you to pass the gadget, okay? Such that it's able to, you see that? And you have to make sure that it is on the tongue and not under the tongue. Now some people prefer to use either a thumb or a finger to hold the tongue down. But caution is these goats can actually bite you, okay? You can actually end up having your finger bitten by the what? And now those are what we call the occupational hazards. So if you're working with animals, there are some things you have to have in mind that at one point in time, they have to come. You'll never pick experience unless some of these things come your way. You get that? Because now you get to know what to do when and how. Are we together? So if I put my finger here, I'm able to help this animal open up for, I pass it. Now you see the tongue. Then I'm able to, you see the difference? Now, as opposed to this drenching gun, it is manufactured in a way that the manufacturer makes it possible for you to ease your work by having this bend. Okay? Let me hope you know the parts of the drenching gun. This bend helps you to push the drug if you're going to use it in cows or goats. So you see that? It's supposed to push the drug way down to the throat of the animal, such that there is no ejection of the drug. Once you push it, it goes way down. This bend is supposed to focus around this angle, okay? Such that it pushes the drug down, and this goat cannot in any way eject the what? The drug, even if it's a cow. Now, the other problem that what some people do is when they are drenching, whether they are two or more than one, people tend to tilt the head way so much like this. You get that? Because they want to ease work for themselves. It is okay to ease work, but now when you look at these animals, if for example this head was cut off, we have two tubes or pipes, whatever I may call them. One is a trachea, one is a what? Esophagus. So one goes to the GIT direct, one goes to the lungs. So if you tilt the head so much, remember this animal at a certain point it is struggling. So you may end up miscalculating where to put the drug, and it ends up into the lungs. Now the very first thing that is going to show you that this drug has been thrown somewhere wrong is the cough up, okay? This animal will cough like forcing, because this is done by both the stomach muscles and the diaphragmatic muscles to push back whatever has been thrown in. So again, that is going to cause more problems than the good you want to do, in that this animal is going to end up with a problem of pneumonia. Because this drug has ended up into the lungs, now you are ideally disorganizing the whole thing. Are we together? So you have to make sure that you have at a certain angle, you see that, such that the drug is able to flow and the animal is able to take it in freely and willingly. So other goats, when you open up their mouths and you put the drug there, some of them are good at keeping the drug on the tongue. They block this other part and they keep the drug there. So you have to be very patient with them until you see them swallow. Now, how do we affect the swallowing reflex? You may have to like tickle the throat, or you block the what? The nostrils, because this animal has to breathe. That's one thing I know. So if it's not breathing in, it has to open up all other passages for air too, and in the process the drug goes. Are we together? Is that okay? Yes. So you have to make sure that you do what is ideally not only good for you but even for the animal. Some people like doing it while the animal is on its hind legs. I wouldn't mind that, but if the animal struggles to go down, then you're going to miscalculate and you'll still end up doing something wrong. But don't try to put them down, because again that is going to force you to do something wrong or off the timing. Is that okay? Any question? Down. Okay? Do you get my point? Because when you look at what we call the innervation of the tongue starts all the way from this side. So the drug is going to flow following. Okay? But don't expect this God to do it for you, that it is going to because it wants. No. Now it is you in control of this to make sure that this is effected, because it is you wanting to help that animal and it is you benefiting at the end of the day in terms of your production essence. So shaking before use ideally is because most of the dewormers happen to come in form of suspensions. Okay, so once they settle, the active ingredient has actually gone down. So you need to shake it to. Do you get my point? What is the other syringe? Where is the small syringe? Somebody had a small syringe. What is it? Let's put it because people may end up falling. So, with our estimation, what do you think this animal is, the weight?
Around 12 to 15.
Around 12 to 15. More than 5 what?
15, I'm saying.
15 to 20. Good.
So I'm giving. Let me hope he's a she.
Yes.
I'm giving.
She's a she.
He's a she.
She's a she.
Wow.
You can swallow. No, it's there.